Thank you for joining me for another episode of Scratch Jr. Drawing Code. This is Olaf's Snowball Battle. Do you want to code a snowman? And let's look at how we're going to draw Olaf. And I found him a little tricky to draw. I think of his head kind of like a mitten. It's a skinny mitten up top. So let's look at how we're going to draw it here on the paint editor. And so we're drawing around the head and filling that in white. And we're going to make the carrot nose and fill that in and then make the mouth. On this video, it kind of, the recording was a little bit odd. It jumps around a touch, so it might draw things and make them appear a little quickly, more so than my voice. So I put the big tooth in there and put the mouth in, and we're going to draw the eyes. And we're going to position those. I made them kind of a little ovals, and I stamped them, and we positioned those there. I clicked the carrot and brought it on top. In the center of the eyes, I made some black ovals, and then I put a kind of a white glint in his eye, so I zoomed in a little bit, put that dot in, and drew some eyebrows. Fill those in brown. And then we're going to put the sticks or the branches on his head. And there those are. So now we have the branches up top, and we're going to draw the body. The body's kind of looks like little flattened marshmallows. So it has two parts, and then you have the legs, and they just look like little flat marshmallows too. And we're going to put the coal in for his buttons there. And so you can just kind of make them flattened edges. They're not really circles. And then I put little tiny white marks or glint inside of them. But I did it a little differently. I put a white dot on, and then I zoomed in, and I used a little bit of black, and I covered up some of that. I drew two branch arms. Now the arms could go to the side, they can go up, and they have 4 fingers on the branches there. And so you can just kind of position that. You can make his mouth a larger mouth, like more of a smile if you like. And here we have the Olaf Snowball Battle. And here's the code for that, the script. So that's Olaf. He gets the message, and then he's going to throw that snowball. So the snowball code has a lot of green trigger blocks. And if you've done any of my programs before, a lot of those green trigger blocks, if they say the same thing, it's just making the object go faster. So that's what's happening there. Here's the snowball. I drew a black outline, a black circle, and then I filled it in white. If you don't want a perfect circle, you can make it jaggedy. You can make it without a black background and just make it white. I shrunk that down by pulling the shrink button down and put it on there. So here's the code for this. What I'm trying to do with this code is make the snowball go kind of up into the right and back down. And then, so here's Olaf's code. When he gets that orange message, after the snowball's thrown, he jumps up and down, and then he goes to the second page. If you miss any code, or if I don't explain it good enough, make sure that you go down to the bottom in the description, and there'll be a link. You can click the link, and it'll have all the code for all the pages and all the characters. Right there, I'm showing how to do the text, how to make it larger, how to change its color. And what I did was I combined 2, and it makes it have a 3D appearance. You can choose any background. That's just the regular snowy background. I like to take pictures using my computer screen or printouts, and I make as a background. But there's some good backgrounds on Scratch Junior too, and it'd be fine. I went back to the castle background. In this second page, we're looking at what's going on the second page. This is the snowball, and I have repeated 5 times that orange letter. It gets the message. That's just sending the snowball. And there at the end, it disappears. But it gets the orange message from Olaf. When we touch Olaf, he sends the orange message to throw the snowball. And there at the end, he's just disappearing and going to the next page. There are 2 icicles with programs. There's one, the bigger icicle goes more slowly, and it repeats 4 times. And then there's the small icicle that keeps going to end the game. Something different about this game that I haven't put on other ones yet is there's a counter. Scratch Jr. doesn't have a built-in counter, so this is something that we have to make, and we'll show you a little bit more on that counter at the top and go into the code and how it's made here. But this is how this gets done. Right there, I'm just removing some of the stop buttons because those icicles are just there for show. They don't have any code to them. And there is the end button, which says if it gets hit, it's going to send the letter to end the game and go to the next page. Now, I like to draw my counters actually on the backgrounds, not as their own character. You can do them both ways, but I do it on the background because what I do is I use the when bumped, and if I have when bumped and it's a character, then something might bump into it and create an action. So that's why I'm going to use it on the background, and you might see some of my backgrounds there with counters on the top. So there I have one just going 0 through 5, and it counts to that yellow square, and you get those that movement, and it works like a counter. Why would you use a counter? Well, if I just throw the snowball one time and hit the icicle and the game's over, it's too easy. So it's kind of like when we add our timer and you end the game. And I didn't put any timers in this game. I could have to make it more challenging. But here you just see how that red bar at the top will move along each time I hit an icicle with the snowball. So here I chose a background and I just made a square. I filled that in and used the stamper tool. So the stamper tool, each time I'll make a new square over, and so I have a room for about 6, maybe 7 blocks here. And then I can either write nothing in there if I don't want to. I can put numbers. I chose to start at 0 and go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could have wrote start. That might have even been better there, because I started at 0 because that's where my counter is going to start, my bar that moves over. Then I'll stamp that last one. You see it has 5 twice, but let's get rid of that 5. That's where the yellow square is going to sit. And that's how the counter works. So it's a pretty nice system, and you'll see that red bar, it has to be where it can touch that yellow. So the red bar gets a message when the icicles hit, and it goes over, and I have it going 3 spaces, I believe. You can adjust it to see how far it needs to go. It's not always perfect. It just depends. And here's a different counter at the top. I have more marks. So that's on the second page. Olaf's there. We're throwing a right diagonal, left diagonal snowball, and that's what you'll see there with the snowball. The blue messages are making it go into the left diagonal, and the red messages are making it go into the right diagonal. How does the diagonal work? Well, it has to go up and over at the same time. So if on the blue messages, I have it going up and to the left, and the red up and to the right. And I repeat those to make it go faster. On this part here, the reindeer, Sven, his program, he's going to go forever, but then at the same time, I'm making him disappear and reappear to make it a little bit harder. There's the snowball again, so it has all those programs, and there's the buttons. The buttons are usually pretty easy programs. Just says when you touch it, that's when it sends the messages. Here's the counter bar. It moves over every time it gets a message. And then that just sends it to the last page. Snowman, Olaf does not have a code on this page. He's just kind of stuck on the page. He's just sitting there. And this is what happens. So left arrow, right arrow, depending on how you want to throw it. Now this can be, with any of these games, you can make it harder or easier. Something to make it harder, we could make the reindeer be on the screen less, so you can put a smaller amount of time that he's reappears. To make it easier, though, you can make him not disappear at all. Just make him go across the screen. You can make the snowballs go faster. If you want to make it harder, maybe make the snowballs go slower by taking out some of those blocks that go certain directions. You see some of the snowballs going up high. That's because I'm hitting the button twice before the script is finishing. And it goes to our end screen. And our end screen has Olaf coming down that snowy path and the snow falling. And so this is just, you don't have to have an end page, but I usually do. And there's our code for Olaf. He's coming down, and I have him growing as he's getting towards us, because a lot of times I'll use that technique and it makes him look like bigger as he's coming towards us. There are the groups of snow, so I made little dots on my screen in the character editor to make snow, and I selected that character over 6 times. I kind of copied that character 6 times. And so I went to the paint editor, made the little dots, I selected the character 6 different times, and I hid my snow until it gets a message. Okay, and there's my "You win" message as well. So Olaf walks down the path, he gets that, and that appears, and it sends the message to the snow, and the snow starts to fall on the screen. And that's pretty much that end page. I hope you had a wonderful time making this. I did. I know it was a lot of fun to do. I really appreciate it if you like, subscribe, and share below. Have a wonderful day. Until next time.